So in Siman Shin Chavav, there's a lot going on over here. It's from the very, very halacha l'maisa that you say this of Brachos Chala. So we're going to spend some more time because there's also a lot of side points and inyonim in Shach and Pasuk and Aleph and then Kutz HaKesef. There's a lot to see. So we're going to be Mamshech Shin Chavav to finish up and any loose ends we have in Shin Chavav until, let's say, Shavuos, and after Shavuos already try to be Mamshech Weiter the next sugya. There's a lot to see. It's very, very kedai to get all this clear. And so I want to speak a little bit about the Yisodis of Amanas Chalik, which I spoke a little bit one of the earlier shiurim, a little bit in Poskim, in Shin Chavav, Goin, Shach, Chazanish. Chazanish is, I don't think it's on the Maram Kremis, it's one of the very chashuv Maram Kremis, everyone has to see. There's a few Chazanishes that are mitzuyin on the Rambam of Amanas Chalik. I'll put some of them now. So this is very, very chashuv to be clear. A lot of the different shaylas, a lot of the bilbulin, that are halach l'mais in terms of Amanas Chalik, which is one of the very, very negei shaylas of a woman who's making a batch, but it's obviously not all being baked together, it's not all being eaten together, it's not all being made for the same types of chalas or bread or mazonis for chulei. So that's where all these shaylas come up. So we will spend until Shavuos and then from there go back. Okay. So we have a Mishnah, in Perek Aleph Mishnah Zayin, which is the makar for the din of Amanas Chalik. But as we saw, based on Yerushalmi, Be'emes, it's not a mafurish Mishnah that there's such a din. And if anything, if I carry the Mishnah's mashma, there's no such din. The Mishnah tells us, Nachum Sha'asas Ar L'Chalik, the one instance of Amanas Chalik we find in the Mishnah, it's Chayiv B'Chal. So if I carry it, that's Rish Lakish is right, like we saw in the genre, Rish Lakish brings a right from here, there's no such din as Amanas Chalik. So it really starts from the Seifa. And Noshim Sh'nas Lo Nachtem Lasas Lem Sa'ar, the Noshim that give their kemach to the Nachtem to make Sa'ar, and he puts it all together. The Rash, I'm just reading part of the Rash, we'll see Shayel L'char in the Poskim. The Rash says he did it Shaloi Midaiton, he did it without their permission. So L'mais it's P'tura Michali. So why? So here's the Machlokes B'Yach Mishlakish, like we all saw. I'm just going to try to speak out a little bit, the Pashut Sursa, the Shmaitza of this Mishnah, the Mishnah in the beginning of Perek Dalet, and from there we'll understand a little bit what's going on in the Poskim. So what happens, so just for Kitzur Nimrod, like we all know already, is that Rish Lakish is trying to bring a raya from this Mishnah for a Zaytik a din by Miruach Kri, is a shayla by Gemar Malach, which is if let's say someone does Gemar Malach to your Kri, Shalom Yidaitacha, does it work or not? So Machlokes Rish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan, Rish Lakish is trying to bring a raya, it doesn't work. Because you see here also, each Isha had a little bit of Kemach, there was no Gemar Malach, let's call it, there was no Oisfir for the Mechayev, and someone did it Shalom Yidaitam. So you see, Shalom Yidaitam is not a Mechayev. That's Rish Lakish's right against Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says no. Avada, klapi that shayla, which is not our sugya, the question of Gemar Malacha, Shalom Midaiton, Avada, that's Mechayev. There's no Tanai in Gemar Malach and Chumas Maisis and Chala that it has to be Midaiton. Rather, the Patur in this Mishnah, Rish Lakish, is a different Patur, says Rabbi Yochanan. That's a Patur of Amanas Chalik. Because after all, when the Nachta makes his Sa'ar, he's making a big batch, which each, it has 5 different Chalakim, if we're talking about Hein Noshim, and he's going to obviously give back the Noshim, Kefi, their Kemach, each one's Chalik in the Sa'ar, so that's the Heter in the Seif Amanas Chalik. Fine. Says Rish Lakish to Rabbi Yochanan, it's not true. Look in the Reisha. The Reisha has the same exact thing. Almanas l'chalik. A Nachman makes Almanas l'chalik. And you see that that's not a Patur. So how can you say the Seif of the Patur is Almanas l'chalik? The Reisha says it's not a Patur. So Rabbi Yochanan, the Reisha is different. Really, B'derech Klal, any person in the world who would make Almanas l'chalik, would be Almanas l'chalik, would be a Patur. But here, it's a Nachman. And a Nachman is not really Almanas l'chalik. It's really Aldas l'kuchos. Rishonim have different mahalchim how exactly to explain that, but basically the idea is he really has a stam das for whatever he finds. Maybe he'll keep it for himself, maybe he'll sell the whole batch to one person. Lav dafka b'chlal, is he going to spalt it up and give it to different people? So melo, that's just not an Amanas Chalik, and that's Rabbi Yochanan's pshat, and it's dafka nachtem. And that's the etzem machlokes Rabbi Yochanan Shlakish. The Kimta Chayes, we have a machlokes, is there b'chlal such a din of Amanas Chalik? Meaning when someone is lush in Isa Gedoyla of Mem Gibel Beitzim, but it is al daskein b'shas Elisha b'shas Gilgal in order to split it up, as far as we're seeing in this Mishnah, at least to different people. Is that a P'tur of Amanas Chalik? L'fi Rabbi Yochanan it is, l'fi Rish Lakish it's not. Okay. So how do we paskin? So Shulchan Aruch is very clear. Shin Chavav Be'etzim Sif Beis is the din of this Mishnah, Perek Aleph Mishnah Zayin, the din of Nachton. That the Shulchan Aruch paskins and Nachton Amanas Chalik is chayev because of the special Nachton Dikasvara that he might change his mind, which really means his das was open milachatchila. And then right away the Mechaber says, but stam a person, everyone else in the world who makes an Isa Amanas Chalik to divvy it out to other people, that's Amanas Chalik, that's Be'emes, yes, P'tur. So halach al-mais we paskin like Rabbi Yochanan. And that's based on the Rambam, who in Vav Yutes paskins Shitas Rabbi Yochanan. Fine. Now, it gets a little bit misubach with the Lashon Hagra in the Simon. The Gaon himself says he was mistabech in the Simon. So the Ravid is Cholok on the Rambam. And it's not 100% clear what the Ravid is being Cholok. Based on the Yerushalmi, the Ravid certainly does say Mitzad Echad that any person who says does an Almanas L'Chalik, it doesn't work. An Almanas L'Chalik is not a P'tur. And it sounds a little bit, if you read it very quickly, from the Ravid that he's paskening like Reish Lakish. Because he says, even though you'll tell me that Rabbi Yochanan said, well, yeah, Reish Lakish says the other way. So you have to look at all the Chazon Ishis. It's in Kuf Tzadiches, Ois Beis, and then it's in the Likutim and the Zerayim. It's all brought in this big digest over here in the back, in the Likutim and Zerayim, Beis. So there the Chazon Ish repeats it. It's in other places. It's like 3 places in the Chazon Ish. He points out, it's a Davar Pasha, that the Ravid doesn't mean to paskin Reish Lakish, which would stand be a Pella. Why would the Ravid paskin Reish Lakish connect Rabbi Yochanan? Rather, he points out, Ayin Sham, that Kavanas Haravid is just to say, since he found that Yerushalmi that the Ravid brings, without going into all the details, but the Ravid brings Yerushalmi, that proves this point, l'chayr. The way at least the Ravid reads Yerushalmi is a big shayla what exactly the Ravid wants from Yerushalmi, what gears he had in Yerushalmi, what tights he had in Yerushalmi. Baruch Hashem, like all Yerushalmis, we have a lot of tzaras how to understand Yerushalmi. But the point is that the Ravid learned from Yerushalmi to paskin like a hybrid sheet of Rabbi Yochanan. That's what Chazon Ish is masbir. All he means to say is, avada, there is a din of Almanas L'Chalik. Not Reish Lakish was kafir bakol. According to Reish Lakish, there's no such thing as Almanas L'Chalik. The din Pasha doesn't exist. The din of the Mishnah is a different din about miruach kri shalem midaita. It's a whole different halacha. Even according to the Ravid, avada, the din of Almanas L'Chalik does apply. It's just the local machlokes between Rabbi Yochanan and that other sheet in Yerushalmi, how far we take the tzad and the das of Shem Yimlech, that maybe he'll change his mind, how much a person is really convinced he's going to be mechalik or how much not. But it's clear in the Ravid L'chayra that if you have a case where it's vaday almanas l'chalik, lamashal, where you're being losh and isa that belongs to 5 different people, and even the Ravid we'd maskim to Rabbi Yochanan, would paskin al derech Rabbi Yochanan, that almanas l'chalik is yes a p'tur. It's just a local machlok. It's al kol panim, like the Goyim points out, like all the Rishonim are clear, the Ravid's a das yachid. Even in his knech in Rabbi Yochanan, whether you learn the Ravid as paskin Reish Lakish, which maybe some do, there's mashmos like that, maybe in the Beis Yosef and the Goyin. I think the Chazon Ish understood Sai in the Beis Yosef, Sai in the Goyin. No one meant that the Ravid is paskin Reish Lakish. I think that's what the Chazon Ish meant at least. But whether he's paskening the Ravid, whether the Ravid's paskening Reish Lakish, or if we'll say Kipshuta Kehoichachas Chazon Ish, he's not paskening Reish Lakish. Either way, the halach is not the Ravid. Right? That's very clear. Shin Chofav Sif Beis. The halach is paskin like the Rambam, that we accept Rabbi Yochanan Kipshuta. And there's a regular din called Almanas L'Chalik, and there's a special exception to Nachtum. Nachtum is an exception to the rule because he has a special stam das, maybe not to be Mechalik. And the Seifa is the regular din of Almanas L'Chalik. So when 5 Noshim give their Isa or give their Kemach rather to the Nachtum, and he puts it all together, since it's Almanas L'Chalik, that is Be'emes L'P'tur. Fine. That is one Mishnah. And that is the Mishnah where it's Machlokes Hamoirayim, and L'Halacha we have a din based on this Mishnah of Almanas L'Chalik. It's very chashuv to understand that this is not a Mefurish Mishnah. In fact, it's a machlokes with a psak, with the Ravid might not, according to some, the Ravid might not even paskin Almanas L'Chalik, right? He might paskin Reish Lakish. Okay. Then we have Nocha Mishnah. The second Mishnah is the first halacha in Shin Chavav, that Shin Chavav Sif Aleph. And that's a different Mishnah, also about Tziruf Isais, but in a different oifen. What's that? Shtei Noshim. So the Mishnah says, you have Shtei Noshim that each have Isas, they already prepared Isas on their own, and they want to put them together. So when they put them together, so are they mitzdaref or not? So the Mishnah says it depends. If they belong to 2 different women, so they're not mitzdaref. Even if it's minachot. Say all the Rishonim, says the Yerushalmi, because they're makpido zelzeh. Since they're makpid, stam nashim or makpid, I don't want to mix my Isa with your Isa. Even if it's the same min, it's both chidim, it's both kusmin, doesn't matter. Don't mish around your stuff with my stuff. Fine. So then it's not mitzdaref, it does not complete the shir. Fine. That's one din. But if it's for Isha Achas, if one Isha has 2 Isas and she's noishech them together, so Kipshuta, one person, they're both their Isas, they're not so makbid, they wouldn't mind mixing it all up, unless that one person is making 2 minim, Chitin and Sa'irin, like it's before in the Hemshech of the Mishnah, or like the Trumas Hadeshim says, the Ramah says, or if it's Karkum, or if you have one Isa that's blueberry, one Isa that's strawberry, whatever it is, once you have different timing, then even one person will be makbid. And that's just Mavur in the Yerushalmi, that really this whole issue of 1 Isha and 2 Nashim, it's not really, it's lav dafka 1 Isha and 2 Nashim. It's all Tali and Hakpada. Like the Rash brings on the Mishnah from the Yerushalmi, it depends. Even if 2 Nashim are being Ma'arif 2 Isas, so the Mishnah says it's not Mistarif. That's just Mistama, because Mistama they're makbid, that they don't want to misharayim, they're 2 Isas. But if you know for a fact that they're very good with each other and they don't mind mishing around the 2 Isas, so then it would be mitzdaref. And huadin fakir, like we said, even for one, like that the Mishnah says already, even one person, if we know they're makbid because it's different flavors or for whatever reason they're being makbid, so then even one person would not be mitzdaref. Fine. So the Rash is mafarish this Mishnah in Perek Daled, and he points out that the Mishnah speaks about a negia, and maybe this negia means neshicha, said many Rishonim say, a negia of two isas. So if you take Rachel's isa and Leah's isa, you put it together, since menastam they're very makbid on each other, they don't want to mishrain. So just because you are anoishich them at the tips, that doesn't make it tzir isas. Says the Rash, let's put one and two together. This din is not only for negia, not just for neshicha. Says the Rash, even if they would be lush together. Even if the basachas, meaning even if they would make the isa together, even if two nashim would pour their isa into a bowl and lush it together and make it together, and this is not mafurish in the Mishnah. We shouldn't have a tzrichasa, why the Mishnah didn't say this case. But l'maisa, even that would be patur. Why? Says the Rash, because let's not forget about Perek Aleph Mishnah Zayin. Va'afilu lashu shnei akavim basachas kim the seif in the chalek ki the precious perakamo gabe nachtim shasas ar l'chalek.
They're not back because they did it together.
Oh, so let's get something here. This is we're getting it. Okay. And then the Rash brings the Yerushalmi that it's not totally in isha acha shtei nashim is lav dafka. It's just totally in hakpah. Two nashim are makbid, fine. Then it's not mitzvah. Two nashim are not makbid, it is right. So the Rash himself brings the whole hakpah shtip. So let's just make one hanach, which I think is clear. That Perek Aleph Mishnah Zayin and Perek Daled Mishnah Aleph, these two halachas, and which is Shin Chafav Sif Aleph and Shin Chafav Sif Beis and Gimel, are two different halachas, and they're not Haba Hatalia, and they can't be, because Kipshutai, as far as I understand, Reish Lakish has no way out of Perek Daled Mishnah Aleph. Reish Lakish argues on Perek. He doesn't argue on the Mishnah. It's a whole different shot in Perek Aleph Mishnah Zayin. But Oifin Denimtza, Reish Lakish says there's no such thing as Almanas Achalash. So let's just get the Rash clear, and this is very important for the Hemshech Ador. What does the Rash say? The Rash says you have two nashim, mimin echad, two kemachs. It's not mitzdarif. Says the Rash. Ve'ein moil, loy neshicha, v'loy tziruf sal, kivet the makpidos. Because that's the din of this Mishnah, based on the Yerushalmi and older Shem, makpidos. Now, says the Rash Vaiter. By the way, says the Rash, I want to tell you something about something that's not in the Mishnah. Afilu lashu, b'basachas. Says Ma'ar, and they're not makbid, which is true. If they went together and they made it together, obviously they're not makbid, it should be mixed together. In the end of the day, they're each going to take their chalas and go home. But they're not makpidos. So, maybe I call them the Dr. Barash. Ein moil loy neshicha loy tzir sal de makpidos. Va'afilu, says the Rash, by the way, halacha l'maisa, not this Mishnah, but a different thing. Afilu lashu shnei akam basachas, keeping the seif from the chalek. We ledidan lahalacha l'maisa. If it would be lush together, I'd have a different p'tur anyway, called amanas l'chalik. Meaning that ois, meaning like this. The first mishpat in the Rash is true even according to Reish Lakish. According to Reish Lakish, you have two nashim that come, they're makbid, they hate each other, and say, okay, let's just put the thing together to make a shir challah. It's not mitzdarif. Reish Lakish is masking that also because it's a different din. Reish Lakish is chaylik on the din of what? When you have a whole east that's nilush together and it's al das l'chalik, the Reb Chaim has to say four different mahalchim. Mehechatesi, if you have a shir l'fanenu, why can't you have a tur? So Reish Lakish tak is not makabel that, and he holds that there's no, it doesn't make a shir. I'm sorry, there's no patur. It's chayiv. When you take two bezunder isas and you try to shtup them together, so then Reish Lakish is moide. There's a different halacha. There are two things that are hakpada, can't be mitzdarif, zelazeh. Reish Lakish is masking to that. The Rash is just pointing out, in the context of learning this Mishnah about two nashim, you should keep something in mind. That we have a din way beyond this, because we pass like a birchen. That even if you mix the whole thing together, meirosh, and l'chayra says more, l'chayra is right, even if they're not makpidos, even if they're mixing it together, let's do everything together, they're friends and alt, but l'maisa, they're both going home with their four chalas, it's almanas l'chalik, because each one has, like the Nachtum case, each one has their kemach, and their sa'ar, and their isa, and their chal, and they're going home. So that is what the Rash is being moisif, la halacha, but not nichlal in this Mishnah. This is not a Mishnah of almanas l'chalik l'chayra. Okay.
You're saying almanas l'chalik is going to supersede that, the halacha of afidos.
It's b'chol Simona.
It's going to overrule it.
Yeah.
Are we not coming into those two cases? We're not coming between mixing it together and sir. That afterwards, if they have a little bit to mix it with more.
What do you mean mixing? In which case?
In the case of sir.
Just shicha?
Yeah. And then they take their chelik and they make more with it. The other we say to putter, right? No tzir because makridim.
If they make a tzir and isa biyachad, almanas l'chalik, that's the next din, meaning the almanas l'chalik gives a patur forever.
Yeah, the tzir doesn't, right?
As long as they're makpidus and it's not.
If they're makridim,
Yeah,
it's
right.
not going to.
For sure.
But Rashi has put it together.
What's that?
He's not handling the next din. He's putting those two
Right.
together.
Nechanami. That's another nafkamina. Right. Okay. So now, just to bring out this very simple point I think we're making, which is a very crucial point, very simple point. So if you look in Shulchan Aruch, Shin Chavav Sif Aleph, so that's where this halach is quoted. The Mishnah of Perek Dalet. 1 second. Let's just get this siddur straight. So Shin Chavav Aleph is this Mishnah. Shtei Isois, Sheish B'Shtein Shir Achiv Chala together, Ve'im Be'achtem Shir, V'Nagru B'Zeh B'Zeh, V'Nashku Zeh Zeh. Im Hayu Shel Shnayim, Even Min Echad, P'tur Min Achal. Right? Perek Dalet Mishnah Aleph says the Mechaber, he explains himself why. Shestam Shnayim Makpidim. V'im Yodua She'ena Makpidim, like Yerushalmi says. So it's all telling there. Are you makbid or not makbid? Ein makbidim al irv ha'isais yem etztarif. Ha'yushneim shalish echad. Same shtickle. If near mistama one person is not makbid, so it is mitztarif. But if we know they are makbid because it's charkoin or because for whatever reason we know they are mitztarif, so then it's not mitztarif. It's all mamish l'shk'turasa. So the Shach in Tzivkot Beis does the same thing the Rash does. He's probably quoting the Rash. He says, by the way, when you learn this whole sit, it's very misleading because it sounds like if two nashim come with two isois and they're menashich together, so then it's not mitzdarif. Says the Shach, much more than that, it's true. I mean, let's look at Siv Beis. We have a different din. We have a din of Amanas L'chalik even when it's Nilosh B'yachad Milachatchila. So the Shach just points that out very innocently. Peturim Menachala, in Sif Aleph, Sif Cotton Beis in the Shach. Afilu Niloshu. The emes is this halach is true, not just by Neshichas or Isois, like the Mechaber quotes the Mishnah Kitzurasa of the Rambam Kitzurasa in the next Perek Zayin, but rather we know we have it in Afilu Niloshu Isos B'yachad. V'lo Nakat Bereisha Nagav V'Nashku Alo L'Ravusa. The Sefer makes a tzrichasa why it's spoken out like that. Right? So it's very simple. We're talking about a whole din of Hakpada and Neshicha. Says the Shach. Don't forget Tziv Beis. Ledidan l'chayra, and again, let's just be most of the pashas. Even if there's no Hakpada b'chlal, that's l'chayra. What should come out? Even if they mix it together, as long as they're all going home with their chalas, that's almanas l'chalik. That's a different patur. So we have that patur also. Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, when you quoted Aleph Zayin, you mentioned that the Rash adds that when you give the Menachem and Shlomi Das, it's fakir. Over there we're dealing with the din of almanas l'chalik, even if it's the Das.
Very good. Good. Fine. That's good ha'ara. And maybe the Rashi here is just quoting Aliv Rish Lakish. Fine. That's a good ha'ara. Meaning it has nothing to do with anything. They're both going home with things. Fine. That's a very richtig ha'ara. That Mishnah Rishonah makes a similar ha'ara. Not mamish that ha'ara, but we'll get that.
Torah seems to ship them both together.
How so?
He seems to put both these halachas in one.
Yeah, I mean it's in the same simon, right?
The Chaber separates the Sifin. The Torah seems to put it
Okay,
all.
so we're going to get to this. This is the going, right. Okay, we're going to get there. That's a good point. It sounds like they have something to do with each other. Let's just be makdim two other hakadamas before we get to the going and the going's maracha against this whole simon in Shulchan Aruch. The going wanted to erase this, like all these dinim. And the two hakdamas are two halachas pshutais, which are not mamish davar muskim, but are klar halach l'mais. One is what the Shach points out, that the whole din of Almanas L'chalik has to be Kisha Oidan Batzik, when it's still in the Isa stage, in the Lisha stage, when it's still dough. But if it's Almanas L'chalik after the Afiyah, to give out the chalas, the baked chalas, that's not Almanas L'chalik. The Shach speaks it out without going to big arichos. The Shach says, hey, Afal Pisha Daitel Chalka Acharfiyah Chayevis, Afal Ein Daitel Chalik Batzik, Afal Chayevis. It has to be Batzik. The Goin in the end of in Sifkot and Zayin points out a big marochem that it's clear like that. No, that's Pischei Tshuva, I'm sorry. But the Goin also points out that, all the way at the end of Sifkot and Zayin. Hai Daitel L'chalik Dafka Batzik, K'mosh Kasav Yerushalmi, Truma Smag Beis Yoy. I'm sorry, the Truma and the Smag Alav Dafka, like it says in the Beis Yosef Shulchan Aruch V'chein Kasav Achreinim, and that's referring to the Shach. It has to be Ba'odan Batzik. Okay, that's Hakdama number one. And Mechor the Pshat is Al Derech, something Al Derech, what Reb Chaim writes on that Rambam, that the whole din Rav Sechalik is Pshat that even though the Chiyav Chala comes Big Isa, it's really Tolo in the Teres Lechem, in the Lechem Haaretz. So if it's Al Daskin, that B'Shas is going to come Lechem, it's not going to have this year, that's a P'tur. But after it becomes lechem already, if it had the shear as isa and had the shear as lechem, so after it became lechem already and had the shear, then it's too late. Then you can't already be mafkia by being mechalik. That's a little bit totally in the question of tzir tal amanas achalik, but let's leave that for now. Right, that's telling what the lumdus of amanas achalik is. Now, one more hakdama is the goin. Is the almanas achalik is the goin of almanas achalik la'cherim and la'atzmai. The din of almanas achalik, all the achronim are bothered. Sounds like if you just push it, read the words almanas achalik in order to split it up, which would mean that an issue every single Shabbos, unless you're baking for a Sheva brachas and making a huge challah out of mem gilul beitzim, hare when she goes into the kitchen and she splits up to different challahs. So that's it. It's almanas achalik. It should be pater. And the Goin already mentions such a shita. The Pischei Tshuva brings that shita from Tosfos Kipshutai. That shita in Tosfos Psachim brachas lamed zayin Rabbeinu Yechiel. The Pischei Tshuva brings some achronim Adani Melech. So this is something we should go into a little bit. Everyone should see and look up the achronim. But al kapanim, what's klar la halacha? The Goin says the klar is after everyone's coming to Miyash B'nei Yisrael. Everyone knows that when an isha makes challah, she doesn't have to bake a big challah. It's like almost absurd. So of course you could split it up in different challahs. And the yesod is the shach says it mamish in 2 words. Sifkat and Hey, Avoshar Odom Ois Yisrael Chalik Bebatzek LeAnoshim Harbe. It has to be Lachalik to different people. But to be Chalik it for yourself, for your Egin and Chalas, that is not a din of Amanas Chalik. And the Goin says that's Minig Avosenu B'Yadenu. That's efshar to say that the Goin says. Sifkat and Zayin in the Goin, very kosher. Shtekol, I'm going to have to see that. So it must be then he goes on that he thinks the Ravid is Nishtazeh. I'm not really sure what he thinks. We got that, why that's called the Ravid. But Al Kapanim, the Goin himself proves it from the Yerushalmi, Ayin Sham, that Almanas Achalik, so we have 2 akdamas. Almanas Achalik has to be the Oidam Batzik, not after it's ready in the bread stage. Aleph. Beis, another Hanacha we have, the Halacha at least, is that Almanas Achalik has to be La'achir. And an Isha is entitled, yes, to make different pieces of challah and bread and loaves, as long as it's for her and not for anyone else. And that's still Amanas Chalik. Okay. So that's Pachas Yosef, what Shin Chafov is saying. The din of Perek Aleph, the din of Perek Dalet, and Almanas Chalik, which is yes past Malacha, not like the Shalkish, not like the Ravid, and the din of Hakpada in Tziruf Isus, which is a different din, like we said, the Shalkish is Pashas Muddin. Fine. Comes the Goin, and let's call it with 2 questions, on Sif Aleph and on Sif Beis. One's on the Mechaber, one's on the Ramah. The Goin says like this. In Sif Aleph, like we said, it's just quoting in Surasa, the Mishnah of Perek Dal Mishnah Aleph. So like we said, Rish Lakish and Maskeli. Not the din of Amanas Chalik. It's a din of taking 2 Isas and being mitzaref. So it says, if there's 2 Nashim, and they have 2 Chetzi shears, and they're makbid on each other, because Stam Nashim are just makbid on each other, why? Because that's just the way Nashim are sometimes. They're makbid not to be ma'arif 2 Isas, even though it's the same min, it won't share. So says the Shulchan Aruch, but it's like the Yerushalmi says, like the Rash brings, it's all Tali Nakbada. Stam Shnayim Makbidos. Bim Yodua She'ein Makbidim. So then it is mitzdaref, fine. Says the Shach, said, but don't forget, this din of Neshicha together, which is not mitzdaref, L'didan, we have Amanasach, even if they're lush all together. Right. So says the Goin, that the Shach is not just a Hisafa like the Rash. The Shach is pointing out that Shulchan Aruch is shver. Because like Ma'or pointed out, Kipshutai, the din of Almanas L'chalik is a new din, it's like the Hakpada. It just means, as long as it's Almanas L'chalik, Bebatek La'achir, means you have a dough, that when it's still dough, it's going to be divvied out to 2 different people, and they're going to take it home and go home. So that's it. That Patash from Chalas. How could Shulchan Aruch say, you have 2 Nashim, and they take it and they're Nashach them together? Let's say they take the two separate East, and they're lush them together. Lishach or Lisha, they mamish mush them all together. So it says in Shulchan Aruch, Im Yodua She'eino Makpidim, Harei Ilu Mitzdarfis. Says the Goin, it's not true. Even if they're not makpidos, it's still not mitzaref, because there's another din called Amanas Chalik. Hare, when the 2 nashim lush together, because it's just fun and they want to teach each other lushing techniques, but they're each one going, they're not makpid. It says the Goin, assuming we're getting the concept of makpid right, says the Goin, so makpid means makpid on ear visus. Says the Goin, there's nakbad here. They're best of friends. They're doing it together. They can even be lush together in the chatchila. Everything mamish. But l'mais it's al manas lechalek. It's al manas to get you your 4 chalas and go home, and you your 4 chalas and go home. That's the p'tur. Says the Goin, the whole mechaber is ain't meduktik. Loy dog. I don't. no one pointed out, the Goyin in Sifkat and Dalet seems to be going on the wrong Gibber Maskal. It seems in the wrong place in the Chaber. It's on the Reish, not the Sefer. Lakpanim, the Kavanah Sagoyin is very clear. Loidok, da filu in Makpidos ki Gavna. What is Shulchan Aruch saying? He's going what that Shulchan Aruch says, that if two Nashim are not Makpidos, then what's the din? In Shulchan Aruch it says if you're not Makpidos, so you're Chayev. It says the Goyin, it's not true, Pashut. It's Pashut not true. So meaning if two Nashim get together and they're best friends, they love each other and they love each other's Isa, and they want to misharnayin as much as possible, L'maisa that Amanas L'chalik. Kol shesoifen l'chalkon koydem afia einam etzdarfus. V'afilu osim etchilu b'yachad. V'afilu osim etchilu b'yachad. He's quoting the Rash now. The quotes, I am Rash. Just like the Rash said, even if they go milachatchila and put it together, mix it together, mish together, it doesn't make a difference. It's Amanas Chag, it's Potter, it's what Shulchan Aruch saying. What?
Like before a fee, like if you were in there.
Yeah, and it also has to be a Vada Chag for a fee. That's another Hanachu yet. So that's Tzorchi number one of the Groin. That he calls Loidak. Well, but not Meduktak. The din is Batsim true, but the Tam of Hakpada is very misleading, says the Groin, it's Batsim Loidak. So meaning that which the Shach somehow pointed out, but the Shach himself pointed out, he's like, listen, this din of Mashiach, it's even Lisha together. And he just pointed out, don't forget about it. Says the Goyin, what do you mean? Look, listen to what you're pointing out. You're pointing out that the Mechaber is wrong. It's not good Hakpada. We have a B'zunder din. You're quoting me Kaviyachol Reish Lakish's din. Meaning not just Reish Lakish, the din that everyone's masking to, even Reish Lakish. We have a whole different sugya called Aleph Zayin. And in Aleph Zayin, Rabbi Yochanan goes way past there and says anything's Amanas L'chal.
What's the definition of shukran?
Oh, beautiful. We're going to get to that. So, okay, we're going to get to Isa Shulchan, which is a little bit nisper over here. In the Mefarshim Mishnayos, you see that they point out, the Mishnah Shurina points out, the Shach points out by Shulchan. In the din of Isa Shulchan, the Shach and Shalom says Ayin Shin Chavav. I think that's the crucial din of this whole, the crucial point in this whole din. But okay, we're going to get back to that. Let's just get to the second question of the Goyin. And this one is not just Loidok. Now the Goyin is really already very, very upset. Sifka and Zayin. This is already a shgaga gedola of the Ramah. Who shgaga gedola? What did the Ramah do that was such a terrible shgaga? So Sif Beis is be'emes the din of Amanas L'chalik. Nachtom shas Isa la'asois Yisrael L'chalik. He's chayev because he's a Nachtom. Remember that special svara of Rabbi Yochanan. But Avol shar Adama Oisa Isa L'chalik abatzei. I'm quoting the wrong Sif. Sorry, Sif Gimel. Noshim shenas the kemach Nachtom. That's the real din of Amanas L'chalik. Noshim give their kemach. And he puts it all together. It's pater because it's Amanas L'chalik, because it's for each isha to get her own chatzi shir, less than a chatzi shir, whatever. Adds the Ramah on that din of Almanas L'chalik, v'dafka she'irvon shaloi midaiton, avol midaiton chayev, sheharei einon makpidin. So says the Goyin, this is a big mistake. Everything the Ramah is saying here. So Teichen Divrei HaGoyin is like this. The whole sprach of Daiton and Shlomi Daiton, like we all saw, if you read the Smag, you read the Beis Yosef, and Pasha read that Yerushalmi, the din of Daiton and Shlomi Daiton is like a reference to the wrong shita, the wrong sugya, like just the wrong thing. That's Reish Lakish. Reish Lakish does not hold of this halacha Amanas L'chalik. It's very clear we're passing Amanas L'chalik. We don't pass in the Ravid, we don't pass in Reish Lakish, we pass in Klar, Rambam, Klar, Rav Yechon. So to quote the concept of Midaiton and Shlomi Daiton is Tamazay Pella. Because what is Midaiton Shlomi Daiton is Reish Lakish is Fikul Daira, that when you do Meruach Kri, Gemar Malacha, Shlomi Daiton, it doesn't work. Rabbi Yochanan doesn't hold of that. He's chaylik on that lahedya, and that's really the Goyin's main dogish in this big shgaga. He's like, what are you quoting? You're messing up the Smag. The Smag was going with Das Reish Lakish. As long as Rabbi Yochanan, it's Pum Fakir. It's like what the Ramah thinks the Paskim Reish Lakish. It's like the whole thing mamish doesn't make sense. Now it's interesting to me. I don't think, if I remember correctly, the Goyin picks up on the fact that the Ramah does add 3 words. That makes it clear that he's not really getting into Reish Lakish. Because he fears always, what is the fact that the Nachtom is mixing it, whether the Nashim know about it or don't know about it? Well, says the Ramah, once they know about it, Avol Midaiton, Chayev N'chal. Why? Shaharei Einon Makpidin. So he does add that. The Goyin, I don't think really is madgish that Nekuda, but like we know from the first Goyin, it's not going to help. It's going to make things worse.
Wait, it's not L'chalik, where is L'chalik?
He's going on the din of Amanas L'chalik, the P'tur of Amanas L'chalik.
It can't be going from that. It has to be going with that it's Amanas L'chalik, not Amanas L'chalik.
I'm sorry.
That would be impossible. Shirch Dalet Beis, no more.
Yeah, what do you want from Shirch Dalet?
And he says over there, you're Ma'arab Kemach.
Yeah.
V'in Acher, Al Das L'chalkoi, L'chalkoi, V'hoisal Tolach Rebekam Minu Pater. You know, there it's Amanas L'chalik, right? It's Pater.
Amanas L'chalik is sure Pater, yeah. We pass Amanas L'chalik. Let's, one more time. Sif Gimel
Here,
Shulchan Aruch.
Midaiton, he says it's chayiv. If it's almanas l'chalik, after we chayiv, it should be potter.
What do you mean? Almanas chag should be potter. This is the question. Says the Rambam somehow that midaiton brings you to a matzav of einan makpidin, and somehow that takes care of the problem of almanas chag. So
in this, in Shechot Dal would be what?
which
Shechot
which
Dal would be.
That's the question. That's the problem.
That's the din of almanas chag. Yeah, I'm saying it's the same kasha in the Rebbe. This is what the Goyen's asking.
It's almanas l'chalik here. It's even though it's almanas l'chalik, since einan makpidin.
Yeah, we're not changing the story. The story is the Nashim are coming to the Nachtam, and they're getting, each 5 lady is getting her 1/5 shir chal. There's one variable that Ramah's playing with is the following. Did the Nachtam do it behind their backs or not?
Understand? So if they're makpid, if they're not makpid, but
One
even though
second.
it's
So let's just
almanas
get first the Metzias and then what that does with Mitzad HaKodesh. The Metzias that Ramah's Mechalik is if they knew about it, Meirosh, and they said, yeah, Nachtam, we know this, the style of this Nachtam. This Nachtam always takes all his day's business to make Sar, puts it all together, and then divvies it out. Says the Ramah, that will bring you to a Madrig of Ein Makpidin. So, L'chayra, the Goyen's tiny
That'd be calling
is
the Girsa, yeah?
Mazim is Shaneh if it's Makpid or Ein Makpid. Because that's the Goyen's whole point. This has nothing to do with Akvada. Mish Perak Aleph, Mishnah Zayin, nothing to do with Akvada. Perak Aleph, Mishnah Zayin is just Almanas Achalik. They could be the best of friends, again. But as long as it's Aldas Kain that we're going to split this up, Rachel's going to take her 5,000 and go home, and Leah's going to go home, that's Almanas Achalik, it's nothing to Akvada. So it's up to going, Sif Aleph is Ein Meduktuk, to be Toilet in Akvada, Nish Akvada, and Sif Gimel is Pasha wrong, because so the emphasis the going is like 2 tainas. One is just that he understands the midaitin and lo midaitin to be like a reference to Reish Lakish Stamapella, and the emes if you're quoting from the smag, that's the chayr what it's a reference to, that's Stamapella, and the chayr the hoysaf of Einim Makpidin doesn't help anything because if it's Almanas Achalik can mavur in this din of Almanas Achalik. Fine. Now, Magila, not like the gears of the goyim.
It's not almanas l'chalik.
You changed the story, right? Okay. Look at the Goyen's gears.
So instead of throwing all this out, why don't we just say that it has to do with
I'm not throwing anything out. I'm just explaining the Goyen.
I'm saying the Goyen. The Goyen is throwing everyone out. Why can't Lahakpid and Almanas L'chalik mean the same thing? Or can it be like the Chazanish?
Okay, so far, if we're going in the world of the Goyen, everything the Goyen is saying is l'chayr mamish tachas apashtus. Mish perak alf mishnah zayin. You see anything you're doing bad akvada? As long as it's akvada. There's just a din. Yoichem was mechadish din. Rish Lakish said that din's wrong. It's for sure 2 different dinim. Harei Rish Lakish has a mishnah.
There's not machlokes on the Mishnah that you're showing me. What is Pshat in the?
And there's a machlokes, exactly.
No. There's a machlokes on Perik Dal Mishnah Aleph. What Pshat in the Mishnah is? How do you Rabbi Yechon says Makpid is Pshat in the Mishnah. Who happens to also be the one who holds Almanas L'chalik. There's other manamrim.
First Yisrael brings him up over there in Al-Sain also.
Yeah. Okay. This is the question. This is the Goyen's problem. What does it have to do with Makpid and Makpid? So let's just get clear. So that we have Klar the Goyen before saying in a Hanami, it's very Yisrael. So many of them of the Mefarshim Mishnayos, and it's the Ramah. But this is the problem. L'chayra kipshutoi. It's a taina. And so what is the taina? The taina is like this: the Goyen saw a halacha perak alf Mishnah Zayin, and without theorizing what the other shitas in the Yerushalmi and Perak Dalid might hold, not like Rabbi Yochanan, without making up a shtickle Torah, it has nothing to do with Akpada. So the Goyen has a very fair point. There's nothing, Kipshut has nothing to do with Akpada. So meaning what? Meaning again, anytime there is a chalukas, an isa that's almanas l'chalik, even if they're not makbid on, again, the hakpada we refer to, is iru for isis. They could be ma'araving from today till tomorrow. It doesn't matter because it's almanas l'chalik. So the Goyen learned almanas l'chalik, like everyone is pointing out very correctly, it has nothing to do with hakpada. And it sounds like the Ramah and Udi may think it does have like that. So what? I go to the shach where?
Here on the Ramah.
Yeah. Understand? What?
Says that being dated on that.
Yeah. Right, I mean you could change the story. That's like the Baragoyla, right? Yeah.
Why do we need to?
So now let's just get one halacha straight, which is very, very sus in this halacha. And if you look in Shin Lamed, it's really just a few lines. Gemara and Chulin, Kofam and Beis. There's a din. Isis Hashutfin. Gemara and Chulin is Mechadish. Kofam and is Chayiv. That means 2 partners. Before in the Rishonim, 2 partners could be partners. However you want to make the shutfis. They bought the kemach together. They used the same money. They each had a half a kilo of kemach. They mixed it together. Lamaisa, they're a shutuf now in this bag of flour. Shin Lamed Siv Beis. Isis Hashutfin Chayeves. the goin, no problems. Chulin kuflam and base. So we have two partners. They're shutfin, and they're making and kneading the challah together. They're chayiv. Lefi the goin, yesh his goin. What are we talking about? What is the story of the shutfin? Do the shutfin have to be lush? The whole thing. Well, let's talk about the pasha case of shutfin. What would happen if me and you were shutfin in a bag of kemach? We would probably knead it together, make one big isa, then make 5, 6, 8, 10 challahs, and then not b'hakpada who gets which challah. And afterwards we divvy it out. You get half challah, we probably each one go home and eat Sudas Shabbos again. So lefi the goin, he's shutfin. This should be potter. It's like a problem. In the standard case that we would, I think, picture of shutfin in a normal tzir, where they knead it together, bake it in a normal way, like minig avosenu, going back all the way, says the guy that no one ever had a minig to just bake one huge challah. That was never such a thing. So then then you would be potter. So how does the guy understand the din of Isa shutfin?
It's like everyone in their own house.
Oh. So l'chari the guy is going to have to say that in a chanami.
And the Rashba says.
That what? The baking.
They baked it together.
The Lashon the Chaznish, when he's quoting the Goin, he says the Goin's has to learn as that the afi was b'chiburin. So, weist ois that it has to be a hechatimtze in the oven that you weren't makbid that it should be noishim. At least you weren't makbid lafi the Goin, which is a big pella. I'm saying.
Isn't that what the Rashba says? The Rashba says they baked it together. That's the case of Isa Shutfin.
No.
That's what the
Shulchan
Rashba.
Aruch certainly doesn't say that.
Basically, it makes the diak from the Rashba.
Yeah, what does it mean bake it together? I'm with you. What does it mean together? So the Goin says, you know what together means? L'chayr, the Goin's going to have to, the Goin doesn't say anything over there. L'chayr, we're going to have to say Lefi the Goin. Because again, we're shutzvin, so we're like the biggest not makpidim ever. But l'chayr the afiyah was a normal afiyah. So l'chayr Lefi the Goin, no, it was not a normal afiyah. Either, like Rameir is saying, maybe from a Rashba, that no, you have to make one huge challah, which is a big pellet. Or, at least, maybe that's Kavanas HaRashba. The Yachad means that you threw them in together, you didn't care about the Neshicha afterwards. The Neshicha wouldn't bother you. And then the Goin could say, fine. So then you had Almanas to L'chalik? Because you're going home with your Chalas? No, Chalas after Afiyah. After Afiyah is okay to be Mechalik. So after you can break it off and take it home. So that's fine. But L'chayra, what? Yeah, Neshicha before the oven, in the oven. It has to be a case where you're not makbid. Meaning, even when you put it on the tray, before you put it on the oven, you stuff them together, you don't care if there's Neshicha. If they, wherever Neshicha was, you're right. If you the guy there's no Neshicha.
Once they were Mechalik it, well, it was Isa, Almanas Mechalik. And you're telling me Neshicha happened later, that should be a head of Shas for and stays potter. Even if Neshicha happened later.
So Lefi the Goin, either you have to say that that's not true, or the pshat is they never were makbid. They were never mafshir b'hakpada. Never b'hakpada. They did it apart. You were making different chalas, but you didn't care if they were connected. You'll have to say something al derech zu Lefi the Goin, and it's taka shtickle tzarchin, at least a shtickle tzarchin, maybe more than shtickle tzarchin. It's taka shver. What is the case of Isa Shutfin? The pshat is had to go in the oven together, or at least beli hakpada they can be noishim. But any normal person, which I think that's what most normal shutfin would do it, if someone comes over and they each bring a bag of kemach, they want to make challahs together because they want to have a nice challah baking thing together. So when they put it in the oven, they're going to usually be makbeh. You don't want them to be stuck together. That would just be like a silly way to make it.
And then the chiddush is
Lefi the Goin tzarchin.
What? Did mum? The chiddush would be
The Paiskim Mavur doesn't make a difference. Shutfin. Shutfin, however you're shutfin. You own half the Isa.
No, I'm saying Lefi the Goin.
Yeah.
So the chiddush is that we can even
No chiddush.
here. No,
That's
it's a
it.
thing called Isa Shutfin.
Isa Shutfin.
Why?
It's not. Maybe you would think it has to be one person. Maybe there's no such thing as two owners. Yeah, lachem. It has to be Arisei Seichem. That's the Gemara's drush. So l'chayr azah. L'chayr here is the makom to say that Isa Shutfin could be learned kipshut. And that is the schadish and din of Isa Shutfin is even the normal case of Isa Shutfin, what we would call, I think, the normal case, the average person, we would call Isa Shutfin would be chai. That would be the normal case, which would be that we bake together, we knead together, we're good friends, we're not makbid on each other, and then we put in the oven b'hakpada gemura that the challah shouldn't touch each other, and afal pikin it's chayiv. Why? It's almanas chalik, meaning we're splitting it up, and each one's going to take 5 challahs home. This one's going to take 5 challahs. L'chayr it's almanas chalik. L'chayr the yisod is as it. Why would it be b'hakpada talimos? So we already said hanacha from all the places. And almanas chalik la'atzmacha is not almanas chalik. So a person, let's talk about a person by himself making a shir chalik. They are allowed to go and be machalakit b'hakpada gemura that there should be 10 different challahs. Now what is that hakpada for? If they want to eat normally, Sudas Shabbos, like the Goin says, you have to have a Bach HaMishnah. That is not called almanas chalik. Just to split it up, Meaning, as long as the lisha was all together, obviously one person is being lush one big batch, one person not makna on himself when it's min b'mina. So even though that person, it's al das came to be mechalek because they want to have plus 10 chalas for Shabbos and Yom Tov, that's not called amanas l'chalek. That's still a kiyum of Arisa Sechem because it's l'chalek la'atzmacha. So the chiddush, we could understand the chiddush of Isa Shutfin is that they're mishutef like one person. They're azoivi one person. Meaning, as long as they're like one person, they're shutfin, and they're not makbid on one another. And they're making together the Isas. And even after they need, all the, just lamashal, they need all the single bars of Isa to braid the chalas. They're not makbid, they can all mix this one, that one, they can mix. So that ihakpada makes them like one person. They're shutfin. Arisa Sechem says the chiyuv on two shutfin is the same chiyuv as on one person. So just like one person we hold could put into the oven 10 different chalas, so then two people could put in 10 different chalas. I nafal babir the whole din of amanas chalik, because that's what this is. It's two people amanas chalik to split it up. The teretz is hakpada, meaning when two people are shutfin, the yisod of shutfin is not makpidas. They're together. They're together the whole time. Narvas, just like one person's allowed to make 10 different chalas, they can also make 10 different chalas. Because the hakpada of 10 different chalas is not hakpada on the iruv. It's really hakpada just they should have like a mishnah for later. Meaning, havchana is like this. If I come to these shutfin after they were oirich their chalas, 10 beautiful separate chalas, I say, you mind if I take them all and mash them smack together? Of course I mind. I just, took me 2 hours to be oirich the chalas. But I'll redo it for you. You have a problem? Do you be'etzim have a problem if I mix together these two chalas? You're 5 and you have a problem be'etzim? No, they have no problem. Just the pshat is, I want separate chalas because I want to eat separate chalas. I need lachem mishnah, and it's a lot of hard work. That's the din of shtayim. That shtayim are min hastam makpidim. Shtayim that we know are not makpidim. That's what the mishnah in Parak Daled is saying. Shtayim we know are not makpidim. They bleib shutzin. I have no problem with the iruf. You could be ma'ariv even after I do the arich and put it in the oven. You really want to mush it together, as long as you can split it up for after the achilul. It's just a technical chiluk that I should have separate chalas. That. Ki hechi that they're shutfin, there's no hakpada on the iruv of isais. So then there's no amanas chalik. The din of amanas chalik is only namar by hakpada. Now, what does that mean? Hakpada means after I get my challah. This is what the Mishnah says. This is the hanach. Shtei noshim are men hastam makpidos. That means like this. When you get your sa'ar back from the nachtem, or you get your 2 challahs, stam noshim are be'emes makpidos. Don't mix your challah with my challah. I don't want your challah mixing with my challah. Can I mix them together and then I'll rebraid them? No, this is my challah. Don't mix it. I'm not everything. Even though it's the same min. And that's why it's so beautiful that the Mishnah is saying. One person, if it's min b'mina and stam makbin, what do they care? And 2 people, afilu min b'mina. If you have 1 min, there's a certain hakpada people have on their food.
Where do we see that hakpada?
Where do we see it? The Mishnah.
No, lamaisa. The nachtem the aricha, the lisha, the everything.
That's exactly the point. This is the hakpada. That after each one gets their chelik, they say, now don't touch it. Do you mind if they're noshech a little bit? Yeah, I mind. Or even if they want to bind on a shicha, because they're willing to be noshech to make a shir challah, but I mind. I don't want iruv. That's where that hakpada is. That's exactly what the Mishnah is saying. Ask, you have to. So the Mishnah says we have an assumption. 2 nashim, when you see them making 2 separate isas, we assume they're makbid. Makbid means I have a hakpada gemura not to mix with you. Why not? Because we're makbidos. That's the nature of stam nashim. They don't want their stuff mixing with other people's stuff. Mashenkin shutfin is the pshat that we know lahedya, like the Mishnah says, like the Yerushalmi says, like the Rash says, and that's what Shulchan Aruch says. As long as we know that they're lahedya, not makbid, so then you're okay, because it has a din as Isa Shutfin. Isa Shutfin means that the Chaygas Chalas Chal, 2 people are Zoivi like 1 person, and just like we know 1 person can make 10 different Chalas, because you're allowed to have Lechem Mishnah, so two different people can have Lechem Mishnah. And again, that's the Avchana. Even after the Chalas are made, if you're willing to mush them together and then re-braid them, they have no problem with that, because they're not really makbid.
Why is that called not makbid? Once the person re-separated for them, so now the hakbad is chal.
No, not chal. You want to mix it again. You can be
fine,
close.
but at some point before the afiyah, there's going to be hakpada because I want it.
That hakpada is just like the hakpada when Rachel herself makes 10 challah with her own isa, and we put it in the oven, and she says, "Don't touch. Make sure they don't touch." When her husband's putting it in the oven, make sure they don't touch. That's not a hakpada. That's no. That's chazdish. We'll see what the chazdish is, because that's lachalik la'atzma. Lachalik la'atzma is okay. Fine. 1 second. Now. So we could already l'chayr l'fizeh understand the mechaber. Let's try to read the mechaber again and see about the hara. We're going. Shtei isais. The mechaber reads doch the din of Parak Daled Mishnah Aleph. You have two isas that they have a chatzi shir, and they're shel shtei noshim. Im hayu shel shnayim. The assumption is they're makpidas. Afilu hem min echad. You assume there's a hakpada. Hakpada means don't mix your stuff with my stuff. P'turim min achal shestam shnayim makpidin. But if you know that they're really good friends, they really have no problem mishing around. Even if you would want to mix them all together in a big lisha, it'd be no problem. Says the Shach. By the way, don't forget that we have a hoichacha from the din of Amanas Chag that even if you would mamish lush together, it would be pater. Where would the lisha together be a problem? Meaning the Shach is adding a ptur. Afilu niloisha isis biyachad, it would still be a ptur. In which case, makpitos. Makpitos azoi vi, what the Rash says.
So then you don't need the ptur.
1 second.
You have it already.
What do you mean you have it already? The Shach is pointing out a very practical halacha lamaisa that I could have missed in the Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch says if two nashim are makpidos and I'm noishech them, it's not mitzaref. Says the Shach, even if you're lush together, biyachad mamish, it's also not mitzaref. But not like the goin that's a case of no hakpada. But tonight that there's no hakpada. But tonight that there's hakpada zok the Shach, because this is the halacha from hakpada. It bleibt Amanas Chalik, meaning like this. Back to the Rash. The Rash is saying. Afilu heim min echad ptur, and he's going on the din of shtei nashim hamakpidos. V'loy moel loy neshicha v'loy tzirav sal kivin makpidos. So lefi zeh, not like the goin. Lefi the goin, afilu lashu means a new din of Amanas Chag. It's nothing to do with hakpada. Lefi the Ramalocher, lefi the Mechaber at least, nothing helps. Not neshicha tzirav because they're makpidos and they don't want them to. They would be very makpid. They should mix together. So there's no tzirav idea neshicha. Afilu lashu shnei akavim basachas kivin disayf in the chalik. Even if they be willing to be lush them together, even if they're maskim to lush them together. But since in the end of the day, once each one gets their chiluk of Isa, the finished Isa, they'd be makbid gomer. Don't mix with my Isa. That's Almanas Chalik. But avada with Hakpada. So the Shach is just commenting on the din of Hakpada. The din of Hakpada even applies to two people who are lush milachatchila together. Even Aldaski, they want to be lush together. But since Lamais they know that after the lisha, when the dough is ready, and I get my chiluk of the finished product, even if I'm not makbid, we should mix the flour and water and kacha together. I'm not makbid on that. We'll see, that's also not a bashach. But I'm makbid, once I get my isa, my arisay seiche, my reisha seiche, once I get it, don't touch it. Don't touch me, we don't touch you, we're separate now. Makbidus, because that's the nature of stam nashim. So Bechi Hai Gavna says,
if you put it back
what are they
together,
makbid? Don't touch it, don't mix it back together, that's what they're makbid. What are you mixing together? Because that is the nature of stam nashim. We're getting to what I believe to be a very simple point, but I think a very misunderstood point. Makpidus means kipshudei mamish. You see two nashim. The average two nashim say, "Hey, do you mind?" I asked the average two nashim lashim. This is what I think the halacha. This is a reichav daitim of Chazal. Chazal say if you go to Rachel, if you go to Rachel, and but this is the question. I told you this is the hafchana. The hafchana is I tell her, I'm willing to redo it for you. It'll come out perfect. So stam nashim say, I don't care if it's going to come out perfect. I don't want your stuff mixing with my stuff. I think it's a very simple point, even though I hear the makom to be misled from this point. Meaning, what is there to be makom about? I have no idea. That is the nature of stam lashon. Stam lashon makpidus. I don't want your stuff. I can understand that. I can understand. If they're good friends, then you know what they are. If they're good friends, it's like saying like this: Hey, let's make chal together. We'll lush together. You mind if we mix together? They're shutfin. That's exactly what they are. And just like once they're shutfin and there's no hakpada, and you're talking such a matziv where after that you say you want to mix together all 10 chals together, no problem. Just you better re-braid it.
What makes
someone wants to practice braiding.
Not makbid? What makes the difference of stam?
Shutfin is no stam b'chal. No one ever said stam by shutfin. The din of shutfin is that is the type of shutfin. Shutfin means
because
they're mishtaf.
But once they split, they should also be makbid.
And if they in Chanami, bazeh tola, and that is exactly what the Shach says when he says shudlamed. There's a halach in Shulchan Aruch. Isas shutfin. Says the Shach, very simple. Ein shin chavav alef. Be very careful when you learn this halacha to learn shin chavav alef with it. That's what the Mishnah Rishonah says on the Mishnah also. That avada, it's all the first in the Mishnah Rishonah, mamish tzachas l'shoinoi. Dalet alef in the Mishnah Rishonah. No, it's on alef zayin. On the din of Almanas Chalik. Afilu im lasha kol isa achas. It's still Almanas Chalik. Yochin, I'm sorry, not Mishnah, the Yochin in Mem Vav. Alf Mefurish, everything I'm saying is one line again. Im Eimishal Achas Men Kashir P'turim and Achala, Afilum Lasha Kol Is Echad, V'davku B'makpidin. What do you mean? They lushed it together, they're not makpidin. No, the Hakpada is, we'll lush together, we'll make the dough together, but once you give me my dough and your dough, then don't go near me. That's makpidus, that's Tam Lushin. V'dafka makpidim zelzeh. Dem loikein maishnam isa shotvin. That's the din of isa shotvin. Now, kol zeh nicha.
Shutfin are makbid, each one gets 50-50 shares.
50-50 share doesn't bother me at all. That's not hakpada. That's not hakpada. That's hakpada can move in older Rishonim and in Shulchan Aruch Alein. It's on iruv ha'isis. Not that the chalukah should be fair. I think Shutfin are entitled to say I should get my 50%, you should get your 50%. Now, 1 second. Let's just try to get the ice here. So that's already nicha l'chayra, and that's l'chayra the machlokes. That the Goyin understood that almanas chalik is a different din that's linked with hakpada. It's just a new mechudesh din that it's almanas chalik. It's al derech what we entertain it that even almanas chalik can even be in one isha. Says the Goyin, no, there's no almanas chalik with one isha. With 2 nashim, as long as each one is going home and taking their stuff home, that's almanas chalik. Now, what does the Ramah say? So already Lefizeh, l'chayr can understand the Ramah in Sif Gimel without making the Hagah of the Shach, the Hagah of the Beragodah. What does the Ramah say? He's going on the din of you give to the Nachtam, it's Almanas L'chalik. Says the Ramah. Let's just say the Pasha where you could read it and understand already Lefid Varenu, and then l'chayr even a better way to read the Ramah. Kipshuta we can understand the Ramah already. Whatever he means, Midas and Shlem Midas, the Ramah describes a case where you get to a Darga, you get to a Mitzias of Eina Makbidin. So if we just, I don't know what the Mitzias was exactly. Obviously, it doesn't mean Rish Lakish. So whatever he means it's the Nachtam is Almanas Chalik. But if Lamaisa, they all go hand in hand to the Nachtam, they give it together, and it's Midas, and they say, Mr. Nachtam, please put all our stuff together. It makes us feel even closer to each other. As long as it's Midaitan, and they're not Makbido, it's Bizn Tzoif, so then we can understand the Ramah like that, Makol Nicha. And it's the Koyin Lashita and Machaber the Ramah who held that Avad Tztayin Hakvada Kimavur Biyach. Now, but the Maisa, it's mashma, and this already Yesh La'ayin was it. It's mashma the Ramah, but Emes is saying a bigger chiddush than just what we're saying B'das Machaber. Because the Pshuta, the story of Daitan and Shlomi Daitan, is a story of 5 nashim who all came to the Nachtam, not together, they weren't best of friends, and it was Emes a case of Amanas L'chalik. So it sounds like the Ramah saying like this, that Amanas L'chalik has to be, says the Ramah, mitchilas halisha. But if mitchilas halisha, it's just midaiton, meaning they're aware of the fact that you're lushing together and making an isa. That's enough. So it says the Ramah, that's enough to already make it isa shotun. As soon as they're together in the lisha, and they know about it, and they're okay with it. They say, what I'm saying is like this. According to the Machaber, we could say that even if they're happy with the Lisha being together, like that's what the Pashtus of the Rash and the Shach say in Sefalef. A few Lashu B'yachad, L'chayr means a few Lashu B'yachad Behaskama, Midas. But since they're makbid that once they get their Chelek, then don't touch, that's Almanas L'chalik. The Ramah could be, is adding that no. In order for it to be Almanas L'chalik, it has to be such that they were not masking to make the Isa together. But if it was midaitan to make the isa together, then even if afterwards, when I get my little shtik isa and you get your shtik isa, will be very makbid. But Harei, you made the isa, you were magalgal, 43 baits and b'shas gilgal was yes, everyone was very happy about it. Rachel, Leah, Rivka, Sarah were all together in this isa, being in this galgal. It was chal reishis harisei seichem. So it's going to be almanas l'chalik that afterwards, when you get your chilek, you're going to be makbid, but you're not makbid right now. So it could be that I'm saying even in that case of nashim that are stam nashim makbidas, but if it's midaiton and they're not makbid, they're masking that it should be this galgal biyachad. That's already enough. It sounds like from the Ramah, Kipshutoy. It sounds like that's already enough to be chal the din shutfin. She'olav nemar. Again, remember, shutfin are just like a single person who makes a shear is allowed to make up different chalas. Shutfin also, we said, are allowed to make different chalas. So it says the Ramah, these nashim also, they're allowed to afterwards. Of course, each one's allowed to take their cheluk of isa and go home. But as long as in the Shas Gilgal it was without Hakpada, there's no Hakpada in the Gilgal, that sounds like it's enough for your Ramah. Let me just speak out the nafkamina. It would be a nafkamina like this. Let's say, we know that even for one person there's din Hakpada. So if even one person has Karkam and not Karkam, Shum Sedeshin, they don't nish if you do Nishicha, right? Let's say one person makes a complete Isa, like your Thursday night Isas. Let's say one person makes a big Isa, it's all the same. One big Isa, very common challenge. The same, no Karkam. But it's Aldaskein, it's exactly a shear. It's Aldaskein.